Hey, what's up?
Ooh.
Caffeine Corner, and I'm on my third rock star. What could possibly go wrong there? And I'm not even joking. I released my third one. But hey, oh my God, I'm so excited today. This might be the most funnest episode we've ever had, hopefully. Yay! We got Zara and Faye today. Oh, you don't even know what's been going on to try to make this happen. It has been like weeks or months in the making kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, you're busy because you're always taking holidays.
Mainly because of Zara.
Yeah, I mean, she's yeah. I mean,
it's like design is not me enough, so I need to work.
Well, this is kind of our thing. This is what we do for work. but anyways, for everybody out there, first of all, Cheshire, welcome Cheshire. And to point out, we have the lovely Bullinator producing for us today. He's actually full time with me now. Is he there somewhere? God. Same response got last time when I asked for God.
See, sometimes prayers are answered.
Oh, there he is. Yeah. Not really the voice of God I was expecting, but hashtag. But anyways, so you guys may know Zahara K. She's a ex-Muslim activist. She's founder of Faithless Hub. I can never pronounce this word. I suck at this stuff.
You can do it.
Hijabi. Faithless Hijabi. There you go. She gets it right. I can't pronounce this stuff. And we also got Faye the Most Gracious, although I think she changed her name lately. The Faye to something else. Magnificent and beautiful. Something. What do you put down?
Still Faye the Most Gracious.
No, you changed it for something. The Magnanimous, I think you said, didn't you?
I think it's merciful at the moment. But
merciful, that's what it was.
That's just my own personal.
So
the joke is like God.
Yeah, the whatever they call that in Twitter. What do they call that first half of the name?
The handle. Oh, sorry, no, the handle is
the handle.
The at, and the name is the whatever you display. So you have a display
name and then
handle. Yeah.
You think I'd figure out Twitter by now? I'm only there to have dumpster fires. That's the only reason I'm on Twitter. So I don't pay attention to how it actually works. It took me a long time to figure out how the hierarchy works, and I was like, this makes no sense.
Steve doesn't even know how to mute notifications properly.
I don't. I really don't. I'm still working out for Facebook.
They ban people for calling God a cunt now because God is someone that you can threaten and harass. So
that's
no.
Wait, God. Wait, I'm confused here because God, wouldn't he have to bring the lawsuit?
Yeah, wouldn't he have to?
He was offended with defamation to God.
I imagine God bringing a lawsuit. The amount of back.
You're charged. You're charged with offending
you're charged with defamation of God.
So one of the reasons why I want to have you guys on, and I want Chess to kind of dive in here for a second, but okay, so long story short, the too long didn't read version is both of you have been like kicked off or temporarily banned from Facebook and Twitter. I lost count. And it's because okay, real quick, like Zahara, I saw you in real time, like you actually retweeted something, or not retweeted on Facebook. See, I don't even know my platforms. You shared something on Facebook that was something that was probably could have been banned for, and instead of the person who wrote it getting banned, you did.
Yes.
Which I thought was odd. So tell people about that, because I was like, this is strange to me.
So this isn't the first time. It's happened a few times where I posted a death threat that I got, and then I got banned for it. And I'm like, but I didn't even write it. You see that this is a screenshot, a threat against me, which I should have. And I got banned for it. So that wasn't fun. And the next time it was a friend who received a message from the same guy harassing me, and then calling me a bigot because I defended Muslims against him calling all of them terrorists or something.
Yeah.
And we're like, look, by the way, we don't like your God either. And then he's like, how dare you? And they started photoshopping my friend's partner's photos. And then...
To what?
Like sexually explicit photos.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Did you report him?
Right, and they nothing happened. I was banned the next day pretty much because I posted up the screenshot, and then they had a mass army. All I saw was somebody went just wait and watch, and then put a screenshot of him reporting me to his group who do the mass reporting.
Yeah.
And the next day
so
I was
targeted you.
So
you were targeted, and they abused the system to flag you. to deplatform you specifically.
Yeah, because well, the thing is that they will not comment publicly. They will send a private message, and
they
when
do it
we
on a
complain
private
about
message
it,
on a
and
different
public is
platform.
doing it. Exactly.
Yeah.
When we complain about it, publicly like us publicly actually complaining about it, they'll then put out targeted harassment against
They're
us.
essentially gaming the system because they
which
know
makes
that
no
that
sense.
screenshot will get.
Okay,
Right.
if I say something that is TOSable, we'll just call it TOS for terms of service. But if I say something that's TOSable, and then you share that, it's one thing for to say, well, you shared it there for a violation, whatever. But the original person obviously would share in that as well. If you're held accountable to a TOS, why is not the original person held accountable for the TOS? That's where I have the disconnect.
We have
because nobody
super chat
had
from.
any evidence.
Sorry, I'm just
Sorry,
gonna
go
jump in.
on.
We have a super chat from Mr. Presence99 for 5. Says, howdy, Steve and Chesh and guests. Finally, some sane people.
Hi.
We're the sane ones.
Thank you, Mr. President.
So, sorry, as you were saying.
So why
No,
again? How come the original person doesn't get any kind of ban or TOS?
Because there was no evidence against him. My post got banned, so that went away. And then you can't just report the profile without an evidence against him. So
you would have to
there
go
was no way we
digging
could
to
report
find.
it.
Yeah, and you can't
Yeah.
report once
They would.
you're on a ban.
It's mostly an automated system. And even when I
Yeah.
actually spoke to a real person, he just sent me the copy and paste of the same first reply 12 times later. And I'm like, but how are you not seeing this? And he's like, there's
Right.
nothing I can do, file another report. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So did you actually get your account ever back, or is it's gone?
yeah, I did. I did. No,
you
I
get
did after 30 days, which was frustrating because it was right before my birthday. And I couldn't even put a location on my birthday invite on Facebook. So
Man,
I had
that's
to find
bogus.
everybody's number.
Zara had made a group invite for
Yeah.
her birthday, and it was just like, Faye, can you tell everybody where we're gonna be?
I couldn't post on my own page,
and
on like the
also on your
Faithless Hijabi page.
yeah. So it was a case of me going through admin and posting everything.
So
for
you
Zara
lost
and
your
rippled
personal
article.
page, but you also lost your Faithless, which is I guess a business page. I guess
I didn't lose it.
group page.
I didn't lose it, but I had no access to actually access the page. Like nothing. I couldn't
So
even
it
change
leaves
admin roles. I couldn't.
Right, so it leaves the page completely dead in the water on that the administrator is gone, and the page can just run wild without anybody there to actually manage.
Pretty much nobody actually banning it. The good part was that now I have
You
a
have
few
me as an
admins as
admin,
well.
and there's a few others I think as
Yeah.
well.
Plan ahead.
Yeah.
So what about you, Faye? You got your basically TOS'd on Twitter a few times, and by the way, you are targeted. I've seen it happen. No question about that. Yeah, I mean,
but
I gotta admit, you're a very nice person, but the vitriol that I see directed towards you is so much disproportionate that I cannot even imagine what the hell these people's problems are.
I don't know what it is about me.
You're nice, and yet they treat you like you're just some like pariah, like I don't know, mass murderer or something. It's crazy. I've seen the vitriol.
I don't know. I think part of it is because I am nice, and most of the people who approach me, I'm nice to. I think people take advantage of that and think that just because I'm nice, I'll take it sitting down, which I think Zara knows is not the case most of the time. But I think one of the users who follows me put it the best. He made a list of things that happen monthly, and the top of that list, the first thing that happens every month is that I get reported on Twitter. Either my account gets limited, it gets suspended, or something happens to it. I've been limited. My account has been limited quite a few times for different reasons. So the first time it was limited was because of selfies. The second time it was like up in it was around No Hijab Day, and then the second time has been for Muhammad, and then the third time was, I can't even remember, it was something dumb like another selfie thread. And then this time it was because I had called Allah cunt, and a lot of people were like, why did you do that? Like, that was obviously something that could get you banned. And I was like, no, it's not, because cunt is a word here that we use quite frequently. Cunt is a word we use in Australia quite frequently.
Yes. So
I don't know why the English get so mad at it.
It's the
Okay,
equivalent
okay,
of
look.
I just want to equivocate the language real quick because a lot of our viewers are
Sure.
from the other side of the sea, and a lot of our viewers are also not. Calling somebody a cunt is the equivalent of calling somebody a jerk.
Or even
That's the
Cunt is a term of endearment in Australia.
your friends are you could call your friend a cunt. That's like, hey, you're my boy, man.
Well, in the
it doesn't mean the
phrasing
same
that
thing.
you
That has
were
a different connotation
no.
altogether.
And you were right, but in
But
the
also,
way you were using God, you can still call you like I can call my friends a jerk. I can be like, God, you're such a jerk. But
yeah, but okay,
I think that the reason why I made that tweet, the full tweet was that I didn't leave Islam because my father was abusive, and I didn't leave Islam because my mother died. I left Islam because Allah is a cunt. And I said that specifically because I think it encapsulates exactly what I mean. I don't need a scientific reason for disbelieving in the God that I was worshipping. I don't need a moralistic reason. I don't need a historical reason. I don't need evidence. The evidence is in the book that he revealed. You know, to me, in my opinion, from what I can see, without any other background information, Allah is a cunt. Like, he's the worst possible God that I can fathom. So to me, and I've been asked this question so many times, and I've had to explain my story so many times, and I've had it taken out of proportion so many times. And after all my explaining, people will still say, oh, your family was terrible for what they did to you. That's not Islam. And it's just like, you're missing the point. That's not why I left.
It's always that reason. But like, see, I had a tweet out that actually got like 1,000 shares or something, at least about 500. Which actually, you know, when somebody said, "I hope you return back to Allah. He loves you, and may you be a guide back," and I responded saying, "No, sorry, Allah's an asshole. Allah's a narcissistic asshole." And me and him broke up because he doesn't like women, he doesn't like gay people, whatnot.
Yeah.
I didn't get banned for it. I'm pretty sure
opinions.
I got reported.
So this is what confuses me. If I said,
I got reported.
But the entire my whole problem with it was that if you had said, "Oh, swearing is against TOS or terms of service," even if it was a case of like swearing was against terms of service, fair enough. I don't think it is because I see some swear all kinds of
Unless you swear to a person.
The reason that I was suspended was because of harassment, threats, and inciting violence.
To Allah? Wait, to Allah? Because if I said Thor is an asshole, do you think Twitter's going to care? I mean, Ocean.
No, we actually.
I was going to say Ocean might care.
And actually, Ocean's going to agree with it. Probably, he's like, yeah, Thor's a bitch, man. But whatever. But would Twitter have the same response?
Question, right? The terms of service. If swearing isn't part of it, and you didn't threaten anybody, and you didn't incite violence, and you didn't harass anyone because you talked about a deity, in what world can a human threaten a god?
Yeah, and why do they get? I'm really curious. Why does Allah and
God of War? In God of War is the answer in video games.
Why do they get? This is a sincere question. Why does like any kind of Christianity, like Allah or Yahweh or Christ himself, why do they get a special dispensation as opposed to, or special thing, as opposed to like saying, hey, you know what, that Vishnu, he's a real dickhead. Well, why is that? This is what I don't understand. They have to. I don't understand why Twitter has an equal application of the TOS there.
A lot of the arguments that I heard from people, like I'll get into, because I also appealed their decision and it was denied. But a lot of the arguments that I heard from the Twitter community itself was that a lot of Muslims were saying that Allah is our God, and by attacking Allah, you were attacking us. And I said, no, I made a very personal statement saying that I think that Allah is a cunt. That's why I left Islam. I don't think it's that deep. Like, I'm not saying that all Muslims are cunts.
I mean,
I'm not saying that anybody, you know, I'm not saying that any physical human being is anything. I'm just saying that God, who has no evidence for existence, is
the
a
character,
cunt.
The representation.
And not even like all gods, just one iteration of him. And then I heard a bunch of other atheists who said that God doesn't exist, therefore you can't call him a cunt. And I was like, I can call anyone a cunt.
Well, yeah, no,
like,
I mean, Superman doesn't exist, but you can say Superman's could be a real asshole sometimes. You're talking about the concept. It's because
if you can say that Batman's a broody little bitch, you can say Allah is a cunt.
I'm all
I don't have a problem with it. I mean, I don't see why there's an issue here, Chesh.
No,
Yeah.
it would be
But
the equivalent of if
also,
Twitter is trying to say that, oh, if you said Superman's an asshole, you're saying anybody who is a fan of Superman comics is being attacked, which is
exactly,
That's
not
not
the
how
case.
it
And those
works.
exactly,
people,
which is the
listen,
argument
those
he made.
people are vitriolic, all right? Like, if you say Superman's an asshole, you will have people coming out of the woodwork being like, well, why do you think that?
Batman
What do you
versus
mean?
Superman.
You
Yeah.
will get legitimate arguments, but you don't see people mass flagging because of that. You don't see people going to a
No.
private group in another area so that they don't get caught sexually, so they don't get caught targeting.
Sexually harassing Superman.
I've been
What
so
are you
caught
gonna
up in like,
Hey, it's Superman.
oh
I
my
mean,
god,
I
he
don't
called
judge.
Superman an asshole, sexual harassment. But you don't see people doing
but
that for
also-
these characters or these concepts. So it
Yeah.
is
Go
an
ahead, Faye.
equivocation that is not being followed through with.
Yeah, go ahead, Faye.
Yeah. But I had also appealed the decision directly to Twitter after a lot of people were saying you should appeal the decision. And my appeal in itself may have been very sarcastic because I didn't really know how else to word it, because I don't know how, I didn't threaten anybody. I didn't harass anybody. I didn't incite any violence. So after I'd appealed it, they had given me a robotic response about how it was discriminative and there was harassment implied in it, and I've seen quite a few people say that things like that happen. I don't know.
So
I don't know. It was a very robot decision.
Apostate Prophets accounts got suspended, and then one day they just work without any emailing back.
Yeah.
But I think what's happened to my Twitter is I've been reported so many times. So what Twitter will do now, and I think they've whitelisted me because once unfairly I was banned for 7 days, and then it was Majid Nawaz, everyone. All I said was I won't stop talking about Islam until Islamists try to stop killing people like me. People trying to stop killing me and people like me and gay people.
Yeah.
So there was nothing about it. That's all I said.
I've never been locked for 7 days.
So the thing was, then my account got reversed in 4 hours.
Yeah.
And since then, I never, like the other time I got suspended or banned or something, it got reversed in 2 hours, even like instead of the 30 days or the 7 days.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've kind of whitelisted my account because they send me emails saying, just FYI, we got a report from Germany and this tweet will not be shown in Germany or in Pakistan. And I'm like, Germany, really? Like, what about Islam is coming from Germany? Like, are they using VPN to target?
I don't know. There's a big Salafi community in Germany.
Yeah, but also I also feel like how big can it be for like somebody to actually?
Oh, it doesn't need to be big. It just needs to be viral.
So I have no idea. Some of the tweets weren't in viral, and then they'll just they won't suspend me. They just won't show them the tweet. So I've been very lucky on Twitter where I haven't gone to a stage again where I've been suspended.
Yeah,
I never knew that they could do that. I knew it. Facebook. Sorry, YouTube can do that. YouTube will say this video will not be played in Pakistan, in India, in UK. I get that, right? Even though it's based upon their individual laws, which whatever. But I never knew Facebook does that as well.
Quite a few of us have received like a notice. Quite a few of us have received a notice from Pakistan about our tweets being
just hey, I want to say to let people on the outside know, we're using a mixture of platforms here because we had some technical difficulties earlier. So we were using Skype and vMix. So if there's a little overlap, it's not us. It is the fact that we're using Skype versus vMix. So we're trying to account for that 1 second delay there.
Yeah. So really quick, I just want to make sure that we've kind of covered what has happened before we get into too much of the nuances of things. So essentially what's happening to you guys is no matter what it is that you're saying, there are groups of people that are going outside of the platform into private communities to then request that these people target you and false flag your stuff for things that it is not the case happening, and they're gaining the robotic automated system that Twitter and Facebook have to deplatform you from talking about whatever your opinions are, or talking about whether or not what you want to say about Islam and your experiences on a whole. So they're trying to silence and deplatform you so you cannot speak out against whatever their ideals are. Is that pretty much? And they're succeeding.
I think that I think that I've kind of given up on Twitter being a free speech platform. I'm not
None
going
of
to use
them
it as
are.
Right.
None of them
no, they're
are.
YouTube
not.
is
No,
quite
not by
free.
any stretch of imagination. Yeah, don't think that they
Right.
are by any means.
None of them are. I have like okay, so there was a time, I think a month ago or a month and a half ago, where I was getting like I think in a day I got at least 300 messages from Instagram, like not from Instagram, in Instagram, 300 messages, and then they tried like banning my posts, and 3 of my posts got banned, and then I appealed it, and they all got back. But they were getting banned, and then I had to appeal them individually, and they all got back. And I was like, how did this even happen? So Instagram's good with that. They haven't suspended me, even
that's
though
good.
they follow most of the same. Yeah.
So what
I
would you
just find it
recommend?
really
Okay,
ridiculous.
what would you recommend for
Sorry,
the
go on.
most open form? Like, for example, I would say YouTube is one of the least. But if you wanted to put content out and you wanted to have really free speech, where it is, and I mean that not in the terms of like free speech against government. I mean, but you can say pretty much anything you want. They might have some limitations. I mean, obviously, I think we all agree that certain things are just not acceptable, and we have an understanding of those things. But I mean, as far as really strong criticisms and rebuking and things of that nature, what platform do you think would be the best to go through for that?
It won't be any of the popular platforms anyway. I'm pretty sure is it Mind or something?
Mine's the
Mine's,
one that
yeah,
Mine.
mine's I hear it's pretty decent for that. Yeah, that might be
I hate
a good
the
option for a lot of
interface.
people.
I haven't used it.
I hate the interface. The interface is so garbage.
Well, that's one
Like,
of the
really-
things that we might. Sorry.
If it was more accessible, I would use it so much more, but it's so inaccessible. Like, I had to change my profile picture 7 times for it to actually show up.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
see, I don't like those kind of things.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
I have a question then. If there is a platform that's maybe less accessible and maybe needs some improvement, would it be beneficial for all of us to jump on there, start using it tentatively, get them the more traffic, so then that allows them to start making the improvements and gives them the resources? So maybe kind of bite the bullet in it being difficult for a little while and seeing if they improve, and then maybe deciding to flip over.
to answer the first question, I actually think that YouTube is one of the freer platforms out of Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. I think that YouTube is probably the freest of the 3.
But then
You haven't read
have
the
to
new
record a
terms
video.
yet?
I've read the new terms and I'm not happy about it, but I think that so far, in my experience of where I've been banned and how frequently I can use something and say what I want to say, I think that YouTube is the freest. I think that the new terms are certainly vague, and there's definitely going to be some kind of like
That might
not very
change soon,
good
is
thing
what you're
come
saying.
out of it.
Yeah, they're very, very.
Yeah, that might come soon. But so far, over my year of using Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube for activism, I would say that YouTube is the freest. But to answer your question about whether or not we should all jump on that platform to use it, I think that the more you use a platform, I think the more there's more
compliant.
incentive to update it and make it more accessible. I definitely think
Right.
that Minds is a platform that is beneficial in that its main thing is free speech.
Now, can you stream to it? You can stream to Minds?
I don't think so.
See, I'm looking for something that we can stream to.
Well, I'll look
I
for
think you
both,
can
because
stream to
realistically we need both.
Patreon.
I'll
I think
look
that
it up right
Patreon is
now.
pretty open. I think that
And
Patreon
what-
is pretty open.
Patreon? It's not a
Yeah.
stream
No, not
host. How do
really.
you can? Yeah, I mean, I'm
I think
looking
you
more like
can
of a hosting site.
But I
Streaming
don't
hosting
know
site.
if they're a free speech platform.
They've deplatformed a few people.
They've
Yeah.
deplatformed a few people?
Yeah.
Only
Oh yeah,
recently.
yeah. I mean, like I know Onision just lost his
Who have they
his
deplatformed?
his Patreon. But let me ask Zara this, because this is like coming down the pike, with the whole new terms of service for YouTube. So they're trying to eliminate targeted bullying, harassment, and stuff like that. And of course, the problem that I'm going to tell you right now, this is going to happen. I'm convinced this is going to happen. The people that they want to protect are the ones going to be the first persons to be basically TOS'd out, and they're the ones that they're trying to protect will be the ones most harmed, because in, like, for example, like the transgender community, you have people that do not agree with each other, and they're quite boisterous, and they are opinionated as well as, as they should be. I mean, people don't agree on a lot of things, but when one group says, "Hey, I don't agree with this group," go target them and just find something that they said you can find to be offensive, then one of them will get deplatformed. We've had it happen. Anti-Ordinary got deplatformed. Sarah Michelle got deplatformed.
I haven't
For that very thing. You don't think it's going to happen on YouTube that way?
Okay, so the
Right.
new terms of service dictates that harassment can get your channel striked. So
Yeah.
Right.
it's not copyright claim, it's a strike. So you get 3 strikes and then your
Community
channel
strike.
is closed down. But their new terms of service says that if you threaten in a video or if you like imply some form of bullying, which is a very vague sentiment, your channel can be striked, which is like a very Twitter thing for them to do. Because
I personally feel like in terms of new platforms and whatnot, the truth is Facebook as a company has dominated the social media space,
well, Facebook is dying.
including, it's not really,
Oh,
so
yeah.
including Instagram and WhatsApp. But instead of like moving people to a new platform, which is very difficult in like coming from a
Yes.
tech background, it's very difficult to actually create that. Like TikTok is trending, perfect, great. So I have a few friends who've got on TikTok. Very rarely has it happened that every year something will trend and everybody's going to jump to it. So Facebook, so like Instagram, Twitter, Reddit still remain our main platforms. Instead of moving away from it and shying away from challenging those policies,
I think we should definitely challenge.
exactly, we need to challenge those policies. We need to continue arguing. We need to, and I'm not saying that you go out of your way to blaspheme and then get reported and then challenge it, but I'm saying try getting into like the senator, I think it was a senator in the US that ex-Muslims of North America have asked to reach out to Mark Zuckerberg. That is a great step in a good, like in the right direction. We need to continue challenging this. So we need to appeal accounts. We need to talk to people.
I don't
Talk about policies and
Is it
I don't
possible?
know if my account. I don't know if the reason that my account was shut down, so for harassing God, essentially,
no,
if that
it's
can
targeted.
be, if
That
that can
sounds strange. I'm sorry, I can't get over that. Harassing God, the creator of the universe, the all-powerful overlord, and you're harassed him. Like he's gonna be up there going, "Damn that!"
That's-
you know, just like
that's like,
To
you
be
know,
fair,
little
to
bit,
be
like-
fair, to be fair, God is a pretty sensitive snowflake. You
Okay,
say his
fair
name with a
enough.
bad attitude,
fair enough.
you go
Fair
to hell
enough.
forever.
Okay, you make a point.
I mean,
Out of
But I don't know,
curiosity,
but on a more
would it be
serious
possible?
note,
So wait, you're saying God's a special snowflake then?
I am saying God's
Okay.
a special snowflake. I would
She said it.
be curious. Is it possible
let
to
me
do both?
speak my book.
Is it possible to maybe
Um,
encourage new platforms by taking part and just so that way the market for Facebook
I
gets a
mean,
little bit
definitely.
broader, so it's not just Facebook. So continue the
I
fight with
definitely
Facebook, and
think-
hopefully that they will improve over time, as well as bring up competition to give them incentive to improve as well.
I definitely think having as many voices as possible is manageable. I think it's doable, especially since we carry around all these things in our pockets now.
Right.
And it's not that difficult to just copy and paste the same thing to the same different platforms. But the point I was making before is I don't know if I can actually contest the fact that Twitter struck down my account because I was calling God out. I don't know if I could contest that higher than just an appeal. I don't know
Right,
if
yeah,
it's
there's
worth
no
it, but-
next step. Right. It's the same issue that a lot of
I
people have with
mean-
Facebook, because Twitter is currently Facebook's it's basically their customer service is through the
Yeah.
stupid Twitter account. And it seems like Twitter has the same issue where they don't actually have any sort of customer service call in sort of area. So you run into this problem where they just don't care to deal with anything further than that, which is bad for a
Yeah,
company
and
in
all
my
the res-
opinion, but bad business. But what do I know?
Yeah.
I mean, I definitely don't think the next step is on an individual account. The next step is actually changing policies or challenging policies in countries, because a lot of these places where they say, oh, this is not available in Germany and Pakistan, we need to start challenging the policies in countries. Now, Pakistan is another cry,
Oh.
but Australia has bills, and the UK, and obviously Canada as well has policies on Islamophobia, and that includes the free speech. How long do you think it will take for these monopolies of the Silicon Valley to then adhere to that law? Not very long. So we need to start challenging locally with our councils, with our governments. We need to write about what's happening. We need to identify it. We need to call them out. And I think it starts from a bigger level.
Yeah, would it be
definitely-
reasonable then? Like I like where this is going. Would it be reasonable then to do something like maybe the way Sweden does things and have the government as part of the taxes provide a free thing like Facebook that can go out to everybody as part of like the social structure of the country, but it's run by a private company that essentially
Kind of like a speaker corner.
Kind of, yeah.
Well,
so like where like it'd be kind of like a town hall-y type thing, but it would be countrywide, and any country would be able to access that information. Which would be then protected by the laws of the country, not whatever terms and services a business would like to put onto it.
Yeah, so I think the biggest issue with the fact that it's all these Silicon Valley companies that own these platforms is that they can never truly be free speech because they're owned by private companies and they can set whatever rules they want. Like I have no issue with Twitter just dictating that I can't have an account because I'm smearing God or whatever the hell. Because it's their platform, they can do that. They are they're the god of that realm. I think that's the issue. I think that there is a demand, certainly, for a platform that is completely open where people can say whatever they want. And I think that there are definitely more problems.
Sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. I just thought of something. Sorry.
This is what happens when Chisholm gets an actual thought. She's like, wait. Oh, wait. Damn, she has. I'm not kidding. She usually has a confessor who writes it down. She's like, oh, I got something. But
I do sometimes. I just don't have a
think
notebook.
that there's a demand for that, but I don't know who could set it up and how it couldn't be a private company or a private entity that would set it up
like that.
So, going on what Zara was saying, then would it be reasonable to put pressure on the government to say that if you are providing an open source or an open a soapbox place where people can post these kinds of things, that it would be up to the government to put in a rule if you're going to provide something like this that puts pressure on the company to say you cannot have terms and services that are against free speech if this is the kind of platform you're trying to run.
Okay, well,
that maybe balance it a bit?
I have been recommended by the police to never go to speakers' corners again because I've had legit death threats come out of it.
Yeah.
And it's a big thing. The Muslims there are crazy. Like I don't mean just like
demonetized
Muslims walking
here we go.
Hate speech. Hate speech.
They are crazy. Somebody just came up to me and started slut shaming me.
And me.
No, this was a complete random person when I was talking about men's rights. I was talking about men's rights. It had nothing to do with Islam. But this guy went like, men have more rights in Islam. And I'm like, yeah, because women don't. Like, yes, that is true. And I was supporting a men's rights activist. And I'm like, look, there is an avenue for it. But if you keep endorsing Islam to be the right avenue for men's rights, you're going to completely destroy your movement.
Yeah.
And somebody came up to me and he's like, what's your problem with Islam? And I'm like, I can be who I want to. I can wear what I want to. I can love gay people. I can love people for people, regardless of their religion. And the one thing he stood up on was, oh, so you think parading yourself around the way you are? And I'm wearing a skirt and a long sleeves. Yeah. And I was like, what is this guy doing? And he's like, and men leering on you is like a good thing. And I was like, we weren't even talking.
Yeah, anyway, you don't advocate for men you don't advocate for men having rights by removing the rights of other people. You advocate for men having rights, and you advocate for women having rights. You don't take away the rights of somebody else to,
So hang on, I got a couple questions because I watched some of the Speaker Corner stuff, and I actually have a friend who's named Speaker Corner, and so I do watch what goes on there a little bit. So I have some questions because I don't live in that area, so I'm not. We have them in the States, by the way. They do exist. They're not just in England. They're not just one in England. There's a whole bunch of them in places. But one, do they have like actual police presence there? And is it? Can you disengage?
They don't do anything, by the way. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
They do have a police presence. They do have a police presence, but
they don't do
anything. They don't do it. One,
they're terrified of them.
The police hate being there on a Sunday. Like I was literally chatting one-on-one to the police. I was like, so how do you guys feel about being here? They're like, we fucking hate it. Can you believe it? On the 21st century, people are talking about religion. This guy is Irish. And like not even like a young Irishman, like one like in his 40s and 50s. And I was like, you're an atheist. Being here, like I can't imagine, like if you could outgrow it, look at these young people who are being clearly idiots about it. Do you actually have to come here and yell it out? And then when somebody says the Shahada because you've
It's
coerced and
dominated.
manipulated.
That entire Speaker's Corner is dominated by religious people.
So what
It's
would
dominated by
happen?
religious people.
What would happen? And
But I
of course,
want to add
go ahead.
that Zara's experience was definitely not a very nice one. It was a terrible one because you actually got a death threat in Speaker's Corner, and then when you reported it, instead of the police being like, "We're gonna find him," they're like, "Just don't go to Speaker's Corner."
They said we can't
Yeah,
protect
that's
you
not-
like this. If you don't go
Yeah.
back again, it takes one.
It's
And I'm a
ridiculous.
tiny
That's a
person. Like I'm
crime. I mean,
5
a
feet.
crime was
right?
committed and they ignored it. That's a crime. Threatening you
but
with a death
my
threat is a
experience
crime.
was completely different.
Yeah.
My experience was completely different because I enjoyed the chaos. Like,
Yeah.
Armin Navabi was in the country
He's
at that time,
fearless.
and I think the two of us just had a blast. We were arguing with people, we were yelling at people. The chaos was amazing, and I think that that's what I enjoy about free speech. But I also do think that there's a very high risk because people can't keep their hands to themselves. It's extremely high risk to have these
volatile.
like speaking places. Because people still don't know that personal space is personal space, and you don't have the right to fight somebody over what they believe.
So what would happen if you were to walk through Speaker's Corner with what would happen if you walked through Speaker's Corner
But
with
I'll
a picture
elaborate
of
on
Muhammad?
that in a second. But the very fact that I don't think that being in person and having a Speaker's Corner like event is a very good idea is exactly why I think that it needs to exist on the internet, because you can't reach out and just like
Right.
touch somebody.
I like
it's
that.
more,
Yes.
it's more safe
You
in
can't.
that regard.
And the fact that Cheshire, you said that we should. Would it be a good idea to involve governments into that? I really don't think it's a good idea because I enjoy the fact that the internet is kind of the wild, wild west right now, or it
Right.
was like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I enjoy the fact of having a lawless land where
I'm
people
with
can
you
say
on that.
whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't want governments to be involved in that.
I don't want thought police.
Like
I
if
don't
it was
want
set up.
speech police.
No, I'm not
Yeah,
saying
like,
I'm not saying thought police. So I agree with what you're saying. You're saying that essentially that if the government gets involved, there's going to be too much overhang. What I'm suggesting is that it's not an overhang of the internet necessarily. I'm saying that would it be reasonable for the government to provide a place where only the laws of that country apply to whatever is being said. So if you say something about God,
as someone who has quite severe trust issues, I don't trust the government to set up a place that will be completely free and they won't monitor what we're saying.
I agree with you.
I agree.
I mean, technically,
yeah. Maybe my idea is a little bit too idealistic.
Well, okay, so
Yeah,
what would happen?
Well, where we had perfect people running countries, yeah, that would be perfect. But because humans are flawed and governments are mostly corrupt and they don't know how to keep their shit together, I just don't think it's a good idea.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair.
What would happen, hypothetically speaking, if you were to walk into? It's bad enough for like a male ex-apostate or apostate who's an ex-Muslim, but for a female to walk through Speaker's Corner and you like, for example, if you were drawing Muhammad and walking through there, what would happen? And by the way, I do agree with you 100% on the Wild Wild West. I'm used to the old days of like AOL and the old days of like IRC, right? You could say whatever the fuck you wanted. Nobody cared. I mean, there was no policing whatsoever on it. And you decide whether you want to stick around or not. And people, there's ways of people and stuff like that. But I don't like policing. I don't like word policing at all.
I've been using the internet for a really long time because while I was a kid, I had very little contact with like people outside my bubble. So I'd mostly had contact with Muslims, and my only exposure to anything outside that, so gay people, crazy people, like white people, kafirs, like disbelievers and things like that. My only exposure to that was the internet, and I used to use platforms like Ask FM and Yahoo Answers a lot to just know about people and ask weird questions and get weird answers. And I really, really enjoyed that I could say things like, oh, I don't think homosexuality is natural, because then people would respond to me and tell me why I'm wrong. And that's how I learned and got out of that. But now you can't say things like that for people to come and correct you.
Wow,
I want
to touch on that. That is
I've made this point many, many times. Every time I talk about homophobia, I bring up the point that it wasn't like people in my community that told me I was wrong. It was people and strangers and weirdos and creeps on the internet that told me that I was fucked up for thinking the things that I did think.
I never thought about this. This is actually new to me. Okay, if let's say that back when you were a little more radicalized, which actually you were a lot more radicalized back in the day, But for somebody who actually is, let's say there is somebody who is completely homophobic. They just think homosexuality is completely wrong. If they're out there and they're saying these things, right? And if somebody doesn't give them pushback because they're saying it, they might not ever change their position. So by shutting them down, aren't you kind of negating the possibility of them actually ever being changed? I mean, again, in a situation where it's two parties both willing to have a conversation, right? And that's what I don't like the policing of things, because if I'm on Twitter and you're on Twitter and we're having a conversation and one person is saying some pretty hostile things, but you're trying to convince them to get out of that, that's a productive conversation.
Yeah, well, at the same time, there's. I'm just gonna get to the super chat.
Yeah, we're gonna have to. We got to through delay, so we're gonna have to call on people because
Sorry,
so
I'm just
gonna call on people so they don't get the talking over. Jessica, go ahead. Then we gotta get Zara back in a little bit.
So, Mr. Present for 5 said, "Be careful before you insult God. He hosts the stream," referring to Boole. And I think I agree in that. But the issue is that not both parties are being willing participants in the conversation in the case of going to another place and false flagging. So there's a dishonest interlocutor mixed within, or maybe not even necessarily the person you're talking to. It could be somebody else looking at your conversation that you're not even talking about, saying like, "No, you're not allowed to talk about this."
So with a lot of platforms, with both Facebook and with Twitter, I think a lot of the mass flagging could be erased if we just added a dislike button.
Oh, that's
because then people could express their outrage without saying, "Oh, this person shouldn't have a voice at all." I think that most people know that free speech is a good thing and we should have it. But because their only options are either to retweet or to like a comment, or essentially report it and get it taken down, they have no outlet to express their, outrage without directly.
Well, isn't YouTube trying to get rid of the dislike things off their videos?
Yeah, I think that's a terrible idea. They need to keep the dislike button. I enjoy the dislike button. I frequently tell people to use it if they don't like my video.
The dislike button is great.
Well, I think they're.
But it would be good. I think it would be good, though, however, if YouTube did remove or adjusted their algorithm so that way people liking or disliking something doesn't affect the algorithm.
Yeah, the same. I think it should have the exact same thing. Look,
it's not a good metric.
Video,
so take it out of the metric. Take it out of the algorithm.
I don't know
metric,
about that.
the button there.
Or take it. Okay,
I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. I'm not entirely sure how the dislike button factors into the algorithm, but I thought that no matter if you like or dislike, it boosts the relevance of the video.
Yeah,
which
up
I
until
think
a
is
certain
fair.
point.
Because if loads of people are disliking a video, it gets it more exposure. I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing.
No, I agree. But the issue is that once it hits a certain threshold, it will start taking the video away from you.
Yeah, what it does is, from what I understand, if you watch a large section of the video, you got to watch a certain amount of it, and then you dislike it. The algorithm recognizes that somebody who's actually watched it decided they didn't like it, and then it'll get less reviewed. But I don't know how much it have to actually watch, but probably quite a bit. It has to be a large amount of people doing it. But like she said, it's over a certain amount. From what I understand of it, again, YouTube never puts out how they. Yeah, they don't tell anybody that. It's all guessing game.
Does the algorithm also cater for where the dislikes come from? Because you could just be talking about
I don't think so.
Something that a lot of people from a particular area are upset about. But generally in social media, sorry, go on.
I would say that there's probably only it's only going to cater like that if it's been flagged from a specific place, not disliked from a specific place, because the algorithm, I think, is too broad. But that's my.
Yeah,
that's
I don't think it's regional. What the way I understand it is that what the algorithm tries to do is it tries to look at what you watch and all the people that you know in your circle, kind of thing. Right. So if you like this video and they like this video and this, like, it kind of says, okay, this person tends to like this stuff. So if you watch a lot of videos like monster trucks, right, you're going to get those more recommended. And then people that like your stuff, they're going to get recommended. And I think there's like a neural network kind of that does that. And so this is why most of the people like watch this kind of stuff. They're probably going to have the same recommendations as other people, right? They're not going to get something way out there. Like, I'm not going to get recommendations for like tarot reading, right? Because I have no interest in watching tarot videos. So I think that's how the algorithm does it. So if a bunch of people specific things start downvoting stuff, it's not going to recommend those videos to that group in that neural network kind of thing. That's, again, I could be way off on this. I'm hypothesizing like crazy because of the things I've watched, but YouTube doesn't tell it. Yeah, they don't tell you.
with
By the
most
way,
things
I
in
would be
YouTube,
right
it's
back.
quite
So, Jess,
vague,
you
and
got
I
this
think
for a
it's
second. I
vague
got to
on
be right back.
purpose. Okay.
Steve
I mean,
is
I
coming right back.
think
Go ahead.
social media in general is quite polarized, even with your news and Google's news to you. It'll only show you what they think you're likely to read to a certain amount. So it will cater to people's liking. But in general, with these discussions, be it on any platform, I think most people, and that's my case as well, people go in not to listen but to talk. Most people are really
self-involved.
Self-involved, but also it's all about people who agree with them versus people who like rationally disagree with them.
Yeah.
And the thing is that sometimes it puts so much pressure on us being right that we get outraged over those who oppose that.
But I think that it's necessary to cater to the outrage.
Oh no, absolutely. No,
Yeah.
it is. I think
that's
the problem,
a fair emotion to feel.
I think the problem comes down is that when the outrage happens, who are you attacking? See, the God part, I don't agree. But then I've seen people who have started attacking, Muslims. And I'm like, but hang on, that's not what I advocate for.
Yeah.
And then I said something about Hindu nationalists, and they hated me. And I'm like, wait, so hang on, you can talk about Muslims, but I can't talk about Hindu nationalists who want to kill Muslims. And I didn't say all of them. These are like some of them, a minority, yes. So how is it fair that you can attack one group, and when your God gets attacked, not even the group, when your God gets attacked, you're so defensive and you can't handle it. Like there is no objective view around it.
Yeah.
And that's the troubling part.
I do think that with the free speech community, you're going to find people who just stick to their guns. And I was one of those people because I was radicalized, so I was more or less stuck in the faith that I was, ideologically brainwashed into. But my need and my curiosity was what brought me out, because people were, while they did call me a fuckhead a fair amount of times, I could still see through that and understand that, my ways of thinking weren't necessarily crystal clear. So I think that while there are people who have this mob mentality and stick to one ideology, I think we still need we need the conversation to continue for the few who will change their minds.
And sometimes it's not about the person who you're talking to. It's people who are reading as well.
From the outside. Do you think that it's out of curiosity, do you think it's I'd like your both thoughts on this. Do you think it's dangerous, or do you think there is some kind of detriment if Facebook and YouTube are going to try to cater so hard to what you're already interested in that they're actually silencing the chances of you finding new information or finding something that opposes what you're saying? Do you think that there's maybe too much or too little, or do you think there's a danger in there, or what do you think?
I'm not entirely sure what the direction Facebook is going. I know that the direction that YouTube is going is that it's trying to cater more towards, like, it's trying to replace television. And I think when you do that, when you're aiming to replace television, there's a lot of rules you have to enforce. Like, you have to make the content more family friendly. You have to make it more company friendly,
the
more
FCC
corporate
rules.
friendly, so that the ads are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think that there are dangers in an echo chamber, but I also have to say that a lot of the content on YouTube is nonsense content, which I'm not entirely against. I think that that's fine. I think that most people visit YouTube to just escape whatever they're trying to escape, whether be it their 9 to 5, be it their families, whatever they're trying to escape. I think that there's definitely, like, while I don't necessarily peruse political or religious YouTube, I definitely have an interest in it, and being stuck in an echo chamber of, oh, this is all the things you like, and this is all the things that we're going to suggest to you, can be dangerous for people who are in a way set in their ways. So if, like, YouTube has content that is extremely, far right, extremely far left, there are all kinds of content on YouTube, and for someone who's curious and wants to know about those things might be educational and helpful. But for people who are stuck in that way of living, it may be dangerous. Which is why I think that there should be a variety.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to think about the hypocrisy of social media or general free speech. It's funny how the books have so much hateful content, and they're like categorized under Bible, and that's perfectly okay for people to say.
Yeah.
If you translate the book, the Quran. It is so
I've
hateful,
made that point.
and it's so hateful, and that is perfectly fine. And when I say things like, I don't agree with this because it's a hateful book, apparently I am the wrong one. But there has been so many attempts now they're making for younger Muslims. So Muslims, like older Muslims, are really, really worried. Norway had a video out on Facebook that our younger generation is leaving Islam, and it's because of the internet, because they're reading because of like these people, and like they're stuck on
they're not wrong.
But I mean, if that's what they're worried about, if people say, look, the internet is drawing people away from Christianity, or the internet is drawing people away from Islam, that's not the problem with the internet. That's not a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem with your religion, not the internet.
It's not a problem with religion per se, but it's not a problem having the internet when people are exposed to this stuff. I mean, this is we wouldn't even know half the stuff we would know about certain things, like even Scientology, if it wasn't for the internet.
Yeah. I want to jump in real quick and just let chat know. I'm just gonna, while we're doing this, chat, if you guys want to at me any questions that you have for either of them or us or all of us, start messaging them now, and I'm just gonna get them in the background. I'll see what I can pick out from those questions, and I just want to ask them now, so we're not rushing it at the end. So let me know, but just make sure you at me in the chat. I'm gonna start pulling some questions out from them.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, so I feel like the Muslims, the Muslim
The
generation,
boomer generation, like our boomers, are way worse than anyone else.
I also feel like there have been so many attempts. There are apps being made. There are dating apps being made because people are like, well, if we don't help Muslims match up with other Muslims, they're going to leave Islam only to have sex.
Haram.
Exactly. So there have been so many attempts just trying to legitimize what actually is stupid.
Have you seen the ads for the Muslim dating apps? They're
I keep getting targeted. I'm like, I'm not even single.
So
Like, why are you targeting me with?
Anytime my non-Muslim friends see them, they know that I left Islam. They're like, look, and I'm like, no, I'm not acknowledging that. Don't point it out to me. I'm having PTSD right now.
It's a lot, but it is a lot. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is a lot worse when a female leaves Islam. I mean, because I've seen, like I said, I've seen the vitriol directed at Faye there quite a bit, and it's usually a lot to do with gender stuff. It's a lot. I mean, because she's a female, she gets a lot of shit. Is something like being apostate is worse for that? Is that? Or just as they think that's going to bring you back into the fold by go ahead.
Between the genders, men can gain honor, but women can only lose honor. The fact that we have left means we have let down our families. We've let down, everyone that is younger than us. Every single girl in our family might just follow us. Like, that's why there's such a stress to disown us and completely cut ties with us.
As a female, you could never even go back.
No, like I have a brother who's an ex-Muslim, and he's living with family, and he's open, he's out, he lives with my family, but I could never return to my family ever.
Or to the faith?
I think they'd be more than happy for me to return to the faith, but I'm not interested in that.
I mean, also, like, remember the burden of like everything falls on the women.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, giving birth, but also like you've lost a woman who can potentially give you more Muslim babies, and she's left.
Yeah.
And then like if she gets a divorce, or if she leaves, she's such a slut.
Well, that's actually the reason why in Islam men can marry non-Muslim women, but Muslim women can't marry non-Muslim men, because there's such a pressure on having Muslim children. And if you have your progeny that is misguided, then that's somehow a failing in you. So if a Muslim woman goes astray, or a Muslim woman does something wrong, shows her hair, has a baby out of wedlock, shows her finger to somebody, it's overwhelmingly like just wrong.
Oh my God, she got pinky. Did you see the pinky on her? Oh my God, it was so awesome. It was hot. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't misunderstand. I really don't understand that mindset. But I do it in a way. I mean, to me, it's a control issue. I think that they want to have control, and by one way of doing that is subjugation. And so they will, like you said, I never thought about this before either. This is actually new to me. I don't know shit from Shinola about Islam. I really, honest to God, don't, because I don't care that much about it. But I probably should look more into it. But let me finish this. I like what she said, that men could only gain honor, but women can only lose it. I've never thought about it that way before, ever. That's actually cool. Go ahead, God. Sorry.
I was
hang on a
just
second.
gonna.
God wants to speak. Hang on. When
I
God
was
speaks,
just gonna say something. I was just gonna say it's also about them having an escape hatch when it comes to blame. Like they blame women for the problem of them being turned on by women, or
yeah, it's all the woman's fault.
It's the woman's fault because
Damn it.
I saw her skin that I had to go and commit this horrible crime against her, for example. And
Look
that's
at that
just
finger.
totally
It's all her
hypothetical. It's all her fault. So we're just gonna cover up and make them not appear as objects instead of actually taking responsibility for our own feelings and say, hey, maybe I shouldn't rape today. Maybe I just shouldn't fucking rape today.
I don't know how many people go around thinking that.
All right, God has spoken. Maybe you shouldn't rape.
God
today.
has spoken. Don't rape today. That's the message from God today.
No, he didn't.
Don't
say
go around
don't.
raping.
He said consider
Not today.
not doing it.
Not today.
Yeah,
Tomorrow
don't-
we'll have another discussion on it, maybe.
Don't
Today-
rape.
Today.
Actually, don't rape. Period. But the whole hypothetical
go.
is it's just it's mind blowing that people try to blame others for their own attractions.
Yeah. No.
Oh, did we get
and
Mr. President? Hang on one
and
second.
the
Did we get Mr. President's last super chat? He's asking. Did you get it, Chess, or did you miss one? I think you read it, didn't you?
I'm pretty sure I read it. It was late. It was the one about. Oh, what was it about? Oh no! Hold on. Let me double. I can't go up high enough. You have to look at it.
You know what? I can carry on smartly. I will check for you because I have that power to do that. So carry on.
The man has all the power in here.
See, I know how it works. Right. Such some patriarchal bullshit right there,
I
Chess.
think you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think the
All
men
of
are
the police.
outnumbered, even if they do have power.
It's true. It's true. Well, that's the question. Bull, since you're God, are you a man or a woman? Or neither? Or are you just
Neither.
best boy?
I'm just boy. Yeah, there you go.
Bull is just best boy. Well, okay, so tell me a little bit more about how Mind works, the website, because I haven't heard about it before. So is that, because you were saying that it might be a decent alternative if its interface was better.
I found the super chat real quick.
I've made an account, but from what I've heard, a lot of what happened after my suspension occurred, a lot of people were like, you should take Twitter to court. And I was like, I do not have money for that caliber of
Oh,
lawyer.
Yeah, that's good luck with
God.
that, right? Where are you going to go with that? To what
Yeah,
end? Real quick, Mr. President, Mr. President 99 says for £5, be careful before you insult God. He hosts the stream. Now, I don't know if we read it before, but we'll read it.
I
over again
did
just
read
in
that
case.
one, yeah.
I wasn't sure, but you know what? It's still good aphorism. You don't want to piss off the big guy, man.
Sure.
It's not a fat joke, by the way, God.
Best boy.
Best boy.
But what I was saying, alternative to losing all my money in court was to join Minds. So I looked up the app, I joined it. The interface is terrible. I think there's definitely some work that needs to be put in there. A few creators, a few of our ex-Muslim friends are on there. I know Vidu's on there. Waleed is on there. Mimsy's on there, and a few other people. But it's essentially a social media app created by Jordan Peterson, from what I know. And he set this up as a rival to Twitter. Now, I don't know how successful that's going to be because Twitter has been around for quite a while. And I think that Reddit is also another viable option for a free speech platform, but I don't know anyone.
Yeah, but streaming is where I used to do a lot of the
Reddit.
typing stuff. I rather have the streaming nowadays, and you can't. Mine's I don't think it's for streaming. And we went to MeWe for a little while, and you mentioned I'm not a fan of it. It's kind of like Facebook, but it's got some added stuff. I didn't like the interface.
Well,
I'm one of those people. I have to have an
Twitch was
interface that
another
just
option.
works for me.
Twitch
Was
was
that-
another option, but Twitch was also heavily policed.
Yes.
Yeah,
They're
And it's
known for
heavily
just closing
policed
Twitter
against
accounts.
women, too.
Not
right.
Against women
It's-
mainly, yeah.
Not set up
Yeah.
by Jordan Peterson, by
Who
the
is it set
way.
it up by?
Bill Ottoman,
Bill Ottoman?
John Ottoman, and Mark Harding.
Okay.
White people.
So is the answer to just be like, Elon Musk, please come and save us? Is that what we're...
No,
We're
I
getting-
think the answer is to contest these rules. I think the answer is to keep protesting, keep having the conversation, keep pushing free speech as something that is paramount as opposed to people's feelings and God's feelings specifically being hurt. But I think that's the way forward, because I don't think that creating a rival to Twitter is, at least right now, a viable option. I think because the narrative right now is either free speech or, free speech but against hate speech, which seems to be the
It
argument.
seems
Most
like, yeah,
people
it
are
seems
in
like they're
hate
trying to
speech.
have their cake and eat it too. Like, we want free
And I
speech for
think-
us, but not for you.
I think that all these platforms need to be educated on what free speech is, because there's definitely some heavy policing around what we can say about Islam, but not as much policing around like Christianity or Judaism even, or well, Judaism.
So
I
it's
think
not
is-
desensitized for Islam, but it
No,
is
no,
for
no,
others, and so because of that, it's
well,
Christianity definitely is just child's play. Anybody can talk about it. But when we talk about Islam, we have to tiptoe on eggshells, which I think is unfair and discriminatory.
Yeah, I
mean,
don't like that
lately-
either. I don't like having to tiptoe on what I want to say, how I want to say it, to who I want to say it, and when I want to say it. I'm not like
Yeah.
that. I'm not. Look, I'm against council culture. I'm like, hey, say what you got to say, and then deal with the ramifications and let people sort it out. I don't think that
Yeah.
the YouTube should be a free, safe space. I mean, obviously, I think there's certain things that go beyond the pale, but I don't like the arbitrary nature where they can come and say, well, you know what, this hurts somebody's feelings. I'm sorry, you cannot run a platform like that.
or with what they've been doing recently, where we've changed the rules, so now we're going to go into your history and take anything else,
that's
even though it
scary,
has
right?
not.
Yeah.
Historically
Yeah.
striking down things.
Yeah,
is,
I'm
is a
already
little,
planning ahead. I mean, I'm
much.
already planning ahead, and so are a lot of content creators. If we, lost YouTube, we'll be able to survive. But
I mean, this is why,
go ahead, Zara.
this is why I think if the government enforce policies on free speech, the private companies are likely to adhere to it versus
Yeah.
the other way around.
Yeah.
Like, a company can't go like, oh, we're free speech, and then even
Police
if they
free
are a
speech.
private
Yeah.
company, they will be shut down in, like, let's say places like Pakistan, because you're not
Yeah.
allowed to say anything against
First and
Muhammad.
foremost is to get
Yeah.
governments to agree that free speech is something.
Oh,
that
I
is
think you're
paramount.
absolutely right, and I like what Zara said earlier. I'm not a top-down person. I don't think. Okay, like starting from the president to the Congress, they don't do shit. If you want to have change, I very much believe in the grassroots. I believe you go in the town hall meetings, start at the city level, county level, regional things. That's how I have to have. You have to have real change.
Start locally,
What?
globally. Like, everybody should start locally in their global vicinity.
Around the world.
Sorry, local vicinity, globally.
Yeah.
See, I said it right.
Yeah, no,
We
I
need
got you.
both
No,
movements.
globally around the world, they need to start locally among the communities and go from there. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I
and then
totally agree with
I
that.
feel like even at work sometimes I have to like tiptoe around people.
Oh no, not
Like
me.
with like Christmas and stuff, they're like, oh, you have to wear a Christmas jumper, otherwise you donate £3. And I'm like, Christmas is against my religion. Everyone's like, sorry, you're not religious. And I'm like, I'm an entity.
Wait, that's extortion.
So I was like,
Yeah, they
I was
can't do
like,
that.
I'm an
That's
entity.
horrible.
Yeah, that's religious
Yeah, I don't
extortion.
get in arguments
No.
like this. They're clearly
Really?
giving this money for a good cause.
Yeah,
It's
no.
not something
But
that I'm
my
gonna debate.
point was that, okay, so if I don't celebrate, it's like charging taxes to people who are not Christians or not Muslims. It's the same enforcement, and I'm like, but hang on, I don't want to wear a jumper. I don't mind donating, but that shouldn't be like, if you're not wearing a
Well, you
jumper,
don't
you need
have
to
to
donate.
wear a
Right.
jumper.
Yeah, of
No,
course.
that was
Well, yeah, it's like
Yeah.
like
no,
I mean, I will say that. Well, it's not mandatory. That's the thing.
Well, that's what
But
I'm saying.
obviously, if you don't wear a Christmas jumper, it's like.
Yeah,
All right, I'm confused. Okay, so is it or is it not mandatory? If you do not do this, then you must pay. Is that how it works?
No, it wasn't mandatory, but it was a comment, and I'm like, well, what if it's against my religion? Have you ever thought about
Gotcha.
my sensitivities as an atheist? Like, I don't have a religion, but like, how come religious people get protection and like atheists don't? Have you ever thought, like, when religious people are like, oh, I don't like Satan,
No,
I'm not
I
gonna go
don't
to
think.
Satan.
Okay, wait, we're getting into this conversation, but I also don't think that anybody's feelings should be protected by law.
Yeah, no, they're not.
I think that's a silly thing.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you don't even know how much I'm with you on that one. But feelings are not something that needs to be protected by the government.
No,
It's
because
not.
I'll be the first one to say that I'm an irrational human being. I will get upset about dumb shit. Like, I've stopped dating someone because they wore red shoes to the date. Like, I'm irrational. Like, he cannot be
Note to you all out there: don't go on a date with Faye wearing red shoes.
Red.
No, my point is that even locally at companies and whatnot, we're enforcing these sensitivities, not just religious sensitivities around, oh, but other people don't celebrate it. Like when I worked for like Google, we wouldn't call it Christmas party, we'd call it holiday party because not everybody celebrates. No. I think that's a good thing because they didn't label it like Christmas or holiday or whatnot. But then I was also told off because I said, oh, the Christmas party or we're playing Secret Santa. And they're like, yeah, but not everybody celebrates that. So can you be something?
Yeah,
like,
see, I don't like that.
I'm like, hang on. And like it happens the other way around as well. When I go like, well, what if I don't want to?
I think that these things, in my opinion, I think that these things should be taken way less seriously than they are. Christmas, in my opinion, is just a cultural holiday. Like I will take days off Eid even if I'm not a Muslim because it's my day. I get to celebrate it.
Yeah,
you know, it's just a cultural thing that people celebrate, and I just don't think that it should be taken that seriously. I've had conversations about me being an ex-Muslim, me being an atheist, me being kicked out of my home, me being arranged marriage. Like I've had all these conversations
you can't
in
have
my
that,
workplace.
You can't have that everywhere. I have been explicitly in many places.
Okay, well
been
that's
told
wrong.
You can't have that. Well, I also work for like corporations, and I work with like really big companies.
I mean, I work in education. Our like workforce is a lot more intimate than a corporate entity would be. But a lot of my friends at work are Muslims, and we'll have those conversations. I've had a full-on discussion about FGM at work, and I've not been told to stop.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't explicitly told.
I got a question real quick, and I'm just gonna drive it a little bit off topic to just see if you guys are a little bit, just check the consistency of this. So where I live, the government tells businesses and tells people that you cannot smoke in a building. So whether it be a restaurant, whether it be a bar, you are not allowed to smoke. I don't think that should be a rule that the government is enforcing. I think that should be up to the business owner to make a decision on if they want to have a building that allows that or does not allow that. Is that what do you guys think on?
I think that because it causes bodily harm, especially to secondhand smokers, I think the government can enforce that.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Chess on this for one reason, because I used to go to bars and I smoked for a very long time. And I think if you're a business owner, you have to make that decision. Do I allow patrons to do this? And if they don't want to come to this bar because smoking is allowed, they can go somewhere else. Because people go to a bar, they're drinking alcohol, they're smoking. That's what they do in a bar. And I believe that you just have some good ventilation. But if you go to a casino, you can smoke in a casino. Go try telling a casino, hey, don't smoke in here, right? I mean, they're not going to tell you it's different, right?
Not in the UK.
So what's the difference between that and a bar, right? But
we have designated smoking areas here. For almost all restaurants and bars here have designated smoking areas.
Really?
Are they all outside?
Yeah, California's done away with it all.
Are they all outside?
It's like a smoking patio.
Most of them, I think, in train stations, if they have a designated smoking area, it's indoors. And there'll be a ventilated system. But most of the ones for bars, restaurants, and like clubs and things are outside.
They have outside.
Yes, I don't.
And they'll have like a roof or something.
Okay, look, I'm fine with them saying no smoking at restaurants and planes. I get that. But a bar is where you go to drink, and most people, when they drink, they smoke. That's part of the ambiance. That's part of where they go.
Not everybody.
Well, the thing is not.
Well, the big thing is drinking. When you drink, you're not spreading the drink to everybody else. With smoking, you are spreading the smoke around, and other people are inhaling it.
Sorry.
Hey,
well, not.
You got a little bit of lag, so everybody's talking over each other.
Is within the establishment at that point, but I want to get what Zaria wants to say.
Oh yeah, Zara was trying to get in there, and everybody was kind of like stepping on her. Sorry, go ahead,
I'm trying to let you guys talk.
The woman wants to speak. Let her speak.
I think that when you're smoking, when you're drinking, like Faye said, you don't harm anyone. When you're smoking, I don't fucking like being around smokers. I have so many friends. I'm like, you smoke there, I can't take it. I'm asthmatic. I'm probably gonna die.
The smell of smoke.
I'm probably gonna die if you smoke near me. Let alone like take 13 floors up the staircase. I used to be on a ventilator a lot. So like, no, if it's gonna harm anybody else, especially because you're doing it, don't do it.
Yeah.
And I feel like governments then have a right to do it.
If cocaine was legal and they were like, oh, you can have cocaine in the bar, that's fine because I don't have to inhale the cocaine. But because the smoke spreads around, it's not
You're heard it here.
isolated.
Faye advocates for cocaine in a bar, but not smoking. There you go. Just kidding. No, but I mean,
So
when it goes to a bar, though, you have the option. I don't want to go to that bar. I'm going to go to a non-smoking bar.
yeah, that's my contention. My contention is essentially that I agree with you. You are
You can
potentially
do that
harming
at
people
home. You
around
can have a
you,
house
which is
party.
why it shouldn't be. Which is why I
smoked in my house.
disagree in that it should be enforced by law by the government, but maybe encouraged. So let's say that the instead of saying no, your business cannot do this, your business is not allowed,
So
like
would
it's
like
not
a
allowed.
tax?
But maybe giving a tax break
Would-
to businesses that choose not to would be an option, because
Yeah,
keep in mind
I could
that
get behind that.
they would have to differentiate themselves, right? So a bar that is no smoking would say there's no smoking here, and a bar that allows smoking would have a sign that says smoking allowed. So if you choose to go in that building, you are then accepting the whatever risks are involved with
I could
being
get
around
behind
people.
All right. So a little pushback because Eatmeal makes a good point. And by the way, good to see you again, Eatmeal. It's been a while. We need to play some games one of these days. He says, where I live, the law is about protecting the employees, not really the patrons in the bar. And that's the same in California. It's more for the employees that have to work in the bar than the Patreons. And that's a valid point. Then because then you go,
That is
well,
fair, yeah.
that the employee,
That's true.
they need a job, and so you're limiting their ability to get a job if you have to decide whether they want and work in an environment where smoke's allowed. But then it goes back to the casino thing.
Yeah.
If you work at a casino, you're going to be in that environment. You're making the decision. I'm going to put myself in that environment, which has some obvious health risk. Like Zara would probably never survive working in a casino, clearly, right? So you'd have an asthma attack and die her first day.
The US definitely has different laws to the UK, because in the UK you cannot smoke indoors in a public place.
In Australia as well. But then when I traveled to Denmark, oh my god,
Denmark's
even in the road,
crazy. Denmark's a little crazy though.
Even in the road, people
Well, now
like
she's
you're
bashing
just
on Denmark.
cigarette
Demonetized in Denmark now.
Hate speech towards Denmark.
Hate speech. You see that she's against Denmarkians. Well, it's funny that I mentioned I was mentioning earlier about defamation, like things like in the UK. It's really different because in the United States, if there's defamation, you have to actually make your argument. You have to show that. But in the UK, it's the opposite. It's up to the defendant to show that they didn't actually defame anybody. So the YouTube says, hey, if there's something that's defamatory, we're going to block you in the UK because of their UK laws. But in the United States, they don't block.
I don't know about that.
Well, it's just laws are different all over the place, and YouTube tried to they want to make everybody happy, right? So like an Islam video.
Little Miss Betty.
Yeah, go ahead.
Little Miss Betty makes a really good point and says their ex-girlfriend was a pizza delivery driver and she wasn't allowed to smoke in her own car. And Stupid Horror Energy for 5 said, how will the recent elections affect women's rights in the UK?
I'm not sure how it's going to affect women's
Honestly,
rights.
I didn't vote for the Conservatives despite not liking Jeremy Corbyn.
Yep.
So I'm pretty upset about it. It hasn't settled in, but also I'm not a citizen here, so I might just leave in the next year.
I desperately didn't want to vote for Labour. But because it's of the two major parties, Labour and Conservative, it has the most chance of winning, and it has the most things in its manifesto that align with me. I voted for them.
Yeah, I actually took a test.
I don't even know the difference between those parties. We had David Worley come on and try to explain us Brexit, and he did a great job. But I was still confused. I got to admit, it wasn't his fault.
Can of worms.
But
the Conservatives are the Conservative
I'm completely
party.
inept on that topic.
With the Conservatives lean right, and the Labour leans left. That's basically it.
Gotcha.
In very, very simple terms. For people who wanted the socialist kind of things, they kind of got let down because the Conservatives won. And I'm not entirely sure why, but I think it's because Labour has had a lot of scandals in recent years, and especially this year with all the different things that have come up. And also,
have you heard what we have? Have you heard who we have for president? You want to talk about scandals? She ain't got nothing on us.
Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with America. I don't know what's going on with the US, but
we don't either.
Hey, America,
no
are you okay? I mean, there was a great ad that
we're bribed to say yes, everything's fine in the United States. We're good.
There was a
our
great.
Prime Minister currently. Our current Prime Minister also had his fair share of scandals. I don't know why anyone would sit with him happily. He's essentially just the British version of Trump, just way smarter in my opinion, and he hides it very well. He's conniving.
To be fair,
I don't like him.
Yeah, I got a hard enough time understanding American politics. You UKers, I don't even bother. I can't do it.
I don't follow any kind of politics. I find it too complicated, and I already have one controversial thing going on for me. I don't need to add another one.
Do you like, by the way, let me ask you guys this. I mean, do you like being controversial? I mean, okay, I'm straight up. I guess nowadays, after being on YouTube for so long, people have considered me to be a controversial person. I don't really get it that much, but I'm going to go with it just because I'd rather not argue against it. So fine, I'm controversial, although I really don't understand why. I really shouldn't be. The stuff I say shouldn't be that controversial.
I feel like you're controversial to people who don't agree with you, which is likely to happen with any ideology you hold.
I don't know. I think anyone who talks about religion or politics is controversial.
You think so?
But then
So you think it's like ubiquitous and anybody talks about this stuff?
Like you're not controversial to me, but by objective opinion, because you talk about religion, you're controversial.
Yeah.
In terms of whether or not I like it, though, I don't know. I think that so much of my life has to do with me leaving religion, especially now because I only recently left, that I don't really have a choice but to be controversial. Like people will ask me, "How's your family?" And I can't just like sometimes to relieve the pressure, I'll just lie about it and say, "Yeah, they're fine." But the honest answer is that I don't have a fucking family. Like I don't know what else to say about that.
That's offensive. I've been your family for like
Since March?
8 months since I moved here.
But like biologically, like they'll ask, how's your mom, how's your dad, how's your siblings, like how's the husband at home, like all of that stuff. And I can't really answer any of it. Well, I wear a ring, so I'm kind of walking into that one. But it's just a case of me, like I don't really have an option but to be controversial. Like I'll answer the question and be like, oh, like the first answer is, well, my mom is dead. And then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry for you. Like, no, it happened years ago. It's fine. And then they'll be like, well, how's your dad? And I'll be like, oh, well, I don't live with him. Why don't you live with him? He's a piece of shit. Why is he a piece of shit?
Nobody ever asked me those questions. Nobody ever asked me, hey, Steve, how's your mom and dad? I don't think anybody's ever asked me those questions. My dad's
that's
passed.
because everybody's too busy being like, so, hey, Steve, how's that fence city you're doing with your ex?
Yeah, hey, Steve, you're such a controversial prick. Yeah, I get it.
The reason why people ask me about my parents is because in my field, I'm the youngest in my field. I'm usually the baby in the team. So they'll like give me handouts and shit, and they'll ask like, "How's your parents?" and things like that. But because I start talking about that,
Does your mommy and daddy know what you're doing?
I love it.
I got one last question.
It's great because I get all the candy at the end of the day. But
I got one last question.
Because I'll
try and get
talk
something
about
from
my
the
family.
live chat there.
Because I'll talk about my family, it gets into the conversation of religion, and then I have to talk about it.
So, Faye, and Zara, let me ask you one last question, then Cheshire can get some things from the live chat there. What's the biggest thing that you two do not agree upon with each other? And don't say pineapple pizza, because that's a given. No, we all disagree on pineapple pizza with somebody.
I think that we probably disagree on how we handle our relationships. That's the biggest thing we disagree.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
I'm a slow person. Zara is a very fast person.
Faye broke up with somebody for wearing red shoes.
I mean, for anyone who follows,
you want to date Faye, don't wear red shoes.
But also like big things like what you want to do with your life, what you believe in, how you live your life matters nothing to me. Little things like what football team you support and what shoes you wear to a date is a really big deal to me.
How about like theologically speaking? I mean, how about like big picture philosophical or theological positions do you guys differ on?
Theological positions. I've told Zara, like, I will date a Muslim. Like, I don't care. As long as they accept me and I can do my own thing, it's fine.
I think like for me and my partner right now, like he's an atheist, but he's not like a new theist. So I told him about Faye's ban, and he's like, I think it's the Muslims' fault for feeling like that violence is being incited. Does that make sense? Exactly. See? Exactly. So he's like, if Twitter banned Faye for inciting violence because she called Allah a cunt, that's not Faye's fault. It's the Muslims' fault who think that violence can be incited by that.
Yeah,
narrative.
It is. I agree.
I'm like, yeah, but then like that's not.
That's not inciting violence.
That's not inciting violence.
That's them thinking that I incited their violence.
Exactly. So that's what I said.
All right. So follow up. So I lied. One more question. Steve lied. He's going to ask another question. Steve's a big liar. Do you guys think words can be violent? Because I'm against that. Words cannot be violence. I think it's absurd to say that words are violence.
Words can be abusive.
But
Words
Yes.
can be
not violent.
abusive,
Though.
but they're not violent.
No.
Okay, I'm
Not
gonna agree
unless
with you on
they.
that.
Not unless
agree
it
with you.
incites an imperative, I think.
Oh well, yeah,
Not
yeah,
unless
yeah.
you're
Incite, yeah,
directly
you can incite
commanding
things, sure.
someone. Yeah, it can
Okay.
incite violence, but it's not inherently violent.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
we're
it can
on the same
incite
page, yeah.
violence. Yes, I just wanted to clarify that. It can incite violence. If I say that you should like go and punch everybody who wears red shoes.
I'm never gonna live
You
that
heard
one
it
down.
here.
Right?
You really
I
hate the
need to
red
tell that
shoes.
story.
Yeah, don't wear red shoes. All right, Cheshire, we got
I
a
mean,
question from the
I'll
audience. We're
agree.
running
I think I would.
90 minutes
I
here.
think I've been convinced by Faye that I will start punching people that are wearing red shoes. So we got a question from
Such
David.
bigotry. Oh wow. Okay.
I've been
Like,
convinced. I've been
like-
convinced.
And red trainers. You think I wouldn't walk away from that? That was
She's
disgusting.
triggered
I
over
literally
these
saw it.
shoes. Holy cow.
I
You dress like a toddler. I'm walking away.
I met my partner at work, so I knew him for like 3.5 months before we started dating. So I
See,
knew how
like
he
I
dressed.
would never do that. I would never meet my partner at work.
Oh, he's the most amazing.
I
thing.
have more twice that I'm aware of. Maybe even more, but I know two for a fact.
Oh no, we don't work together anymore. I only said yes because I found out he was leaving, and I was like, okay, cool,
See,
I'll
that's
go on a date.
responsible.
I was like,
But
oh, you
you've
go.
done this before. Where
Yeah,
you
And you didn't
found
care if he
partners
wore
at
red
work.
shoes,
Yeah,
right?
but like I work in a company with like 2,000 people, and like you don't even see the same person twice in like a month.
Yeah, but you still work together. It's weird.
Not really.
Not really.
It's
No, I
weird.
gotta disagree. I've had wonderful relationships with people that I had actual work with. It wasn't a problem as long
I'm
as the
still
HR
friends with
knows.
them.
I can never.
Yeah, I mean,
It would
you
take
just
me-
you just got you
It
can't.
would
I
take
set up
me.
his dating profile after.
It would take me a lot to be like, yeah, I work with you and I'm gonna date you.
Maybe
It would
because you
take me a
haven't
lot.
met the right people.
And
And when I say right people, I don't mean
that's
person.
rich coming from you.
When I say
Chester,
people,
we
I mean
got
like.
some questions here. All right, hang on, because we got the
All
90-minute
right.
mark, and we don't want to keep you guys too
Yeah,
late. I know it's late
I'll
for you guys
go
out
through
there.
the questions. We got a question from David Worley that says, "Ask them where the DRC after party is."
Oh, we haven't decided yet because you're setting up the event all the way in fucking Uxbridge, which is in the middle of fucking nowhere.
When is it?
Huh?
I think
When
they're
is it?
mad at you,
Oh,
David.
David, you're pissing them
no,
off, David.
We're not mad.
David, you know,
David's
David's becoming controversial lately now too.
You know,
'cause
I
of-
heard David was wearing
Like,
red shoes earlier.
Oh,
event. So we need to figure out what to do. We're
Damn
gonna
it,
need to
Dave,
hire a
don't be wearing
bus to
red
move
shoes.
everybody to Soho.
okay,
We
for
could
the
probably
dumb among us,
have the party at the
wait, what's
university.
DRC? So besides Democratic
Oh,
Republican
so
Convention,
the DRC, so this
What
is
is
Dave
DRC?
Con. Dave is setting up his own event to rival Atheist Con.
Yeah.
the David.
Yeah.
Was it the DR
Yeah,
convention?
we'll have announcements soon. Zara and I and a
funny.
few other people are organizing it alongside him. So we'll have
we
announcements
could do
soon.
something like
But
that too. We're just calling it a party, though.
I'm just gonna
Yeah.
be on the poster promoting it, so that's what I'm doing. I'm just gonna do it. Apparently that's so.
Okay, the next one wasn't a question, but it was Zara and Faye keeping badass. That was from Ilya. Lindsay
thank
wanted
you.
to ask, how do I get to an after show? So people are asking about an after show hangout for this. So I think that's something we can consider.
David might have one. I don't know if it's too late. They're gonna. I don't know what
David
their
says
plans
he's
are, but-
wearing red socks.
That's
Anti-ordinary.
fine. That's
I
fine.
like red socks.
Look,
I'm
as-
gonna get. Oh my god.
As long as you don't wear dress shirt, dress trousers, tie, and then invite me to a forest, you're fine. Okay? You're fine.
There you
Faith
go.
has some really
Right.
horrific experiences on this, hasn't she?
To be the right
Anti
people.
wanted.
No, I mean interesting
sorry.
people. That's how I get
Letty-
stories.
Don't online date
Letty wants
kids.
to know.
Hang on, but talking over. All right, go chat.
Sorry.
We got a super chat real quick.
Super chat is Stupid Horror Energy for 2 says, in this duo, who is Batman and who is Robin?
No, Zara's Batman.
I don't.
She's
Can
Batman
we do
and
Marvel,
Robin.
please? Can we please do Marvel? I want to be
Oh
Thor.
no, we're not gonna get into the whole Marvel DC thing. No, we don't have time for that. Next time.
Marvel. That's not even. I don't even know how to do an M because like.
We got Letty
Let's see.
asking, what's everyone's favorite type of tea? Mine is vanilla cinnamon chai.
Like standard Earl Grey.
I like Tetley instant.
I I don't really drink hot beverages except
American.
for coffee on weekends because I
Mhm.
kind of need to stay awake from my meetings, which are really hard to. I hope none of my employers are watching.
I like
I
to
don't
have
drink-
a mix of either Lady Grey or Earl Grey are usually my go-tos.
I
My
like
Anti-ordinary
with
asked,
black tea.
wait, ever had one called Sleepy Time? Sleepy Time was really good.
Sleepy Time tea.
Yeah, Sleepy Time tea was
Anti-ordinary
really good.
asked about what if the shoes are red-bottomed? Is that acceptable?
That's fine. That's fine. It all depends on what it's going with. If it's dress wear, like, why are you wearing trainers? Is my biggest question.
Ooh.
Sweet tea, yeah,
little-
sweet tea. Sweet tea is always a good acceptable answer. We all like sweet tea.
I don't really like
Yes.
Little Miss Betty Page asked, have Zara and Faye ever had any contact with Ali? I'm gonna pronounce this wrong. Dawa at
Sorry.
Speaker's Corner.
Ali Dawa.
You want to start?
Thank you.
Start.
So
Because we have two very different.
This looks like a
perspectives.
yes in the story to me. I like
Clearly.
this.
So
Where's this gonna lead?
Two different stories. Great.
Well, one, I don't like condescending people, and I do not like it when people well, you know what? It was I was holding a camera for Armin Nababi while he was talking to Ali Dawa.
You had two incidents.
I had two incidents, and one of them, he actually wanted to talk to me, and then I'm like, you asked me to talk to you, and he's like, oh, I don't want to talk to you because you cursed at my God. Again, apparently he was offended that I cursed at his
Wait,
God.
Okay, for the dumb one in the
okay, then
room
what?
here, who is that? I don't know who this person is. Should I?
Ali Dawa, he's a UK Speaker's Corner, like
Dawa man.
Like he proselytizes, is that the word?
Proselytizes.
That,
Yeah, so
like,
you know what? I
he
probably have seen him, but I don't recognize the name. Is he what? Is it that really
You'll
crazy
know
guy
him.
that
He
just
has
really
a very recognizable, punchable face.
I didn't say
The
that.
beard? Does he have a
I did
beard?
not say that.
Really punchable.
Yeah, don't be
Okay,
punching
so
people.
the interaction
Hashtag
the
demonetized.
interactions I
Right.
had with him was for dehumanizing ex-Muslims, and his response was because one of them said Alhamdulillah.
Was that Rizwan?
No, that was Ali Rizvi.
That was Ali Rizvi.
And I was
love
like,
that.
so he said something about your God, which was a joke, and you didn't like it, so you started dehumanizing
Yeah.
a person instead of his ideas, or even just go like your atheism is stupid. So you started dehumanizing him.
Yeah.
So he's like, yeah, but then you can't say things. I'm like, I don't give a fuck about your God.
Mm.
Like, all I care about is human beings, and he got upset about it.
Yeah.
And I'm
I think
like,
you actually said fuck Allah. Or something
I'm
that.
like, no. I said Allah can go fuck himself because I
That's
don't
it,
care
that's
about
it.
it. That's what I said. I'm like, because I don't care about him.
Mhm.
I care about people. And then he's like, you swore at my God and whatnot. And somebody else was talking to me. And then he just came up to me and he's like, here's my back, talk to my back. And I'm like, but I'm not even talking to
So
you.
childish.
He's so
I'm not even
childish. And I'm
talking
like,
to
if you
you.
don't want
It was
I wasn't even
self-important.
You weren't even in this conversation here.
See, that's what
I
we're
was talking
talking
to
about when it
somebody
happens on Twitter,
else.
though. That's
like
exactly
Twitter,
what we're
by the
talking
way. That's
about.
like Twitter. I love that.
You're having a
Yeah.
conversation with somebody else, and somebody from the sidelines is like, "You're not allowed to talk about that."
I the peanut gallery, like, yeah, exactly. Like two people on Twitter having a conversation, and anybody can jump in, and when they do, half the time they have no idea what the hell has transpired already. Super chat.
Helios for 5 says, "What is it with you guys and live streams while I get root canals? My what is that? An
Endodontist.
Endodontist?
Yeah, endodontist.
Made me turn on my audiobook until he finished to avoid another stabbing."
Dude, why do you get so many root canals? You do not floss? Do you not? I can lend you my stuff. I got 5 tubes of toothpaste, so I'm going to take me another year to get through. I can't. You saw my collection.
We got
So,
one
yeah,
more question
but,
from the messenger reveals. What was
Can I tell my story?
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah. You tell your story,
yeah.
and then we'll jump off to the next question.
Yeah, we'll let the guest speak for a change.
Just to preface this, both his argument with Zara and his argument with me are up on his channel. So if you wanted to go and check it out, you can go and see it for yourself. The two, I don't know if we can post those in the live chat, but
I can. I'll go find them.
So the argument that he had with Zara is in direct contrast with the argument he had with me, because I was, like I said, I was very comfortable in Speaker's Corner. I enjoyed the chaos, maybe a little too much. And we were there as a group. because I only met him once. You met him twice. You had the pleasure of meeting him twice.
You had the pleasure of meeting me twice.
Yeah. So I only met him once, and I'll admit that I was a little tipsy because me, Jimmy, and Ali were all getting drunk at Speaker's Corner.
I was on my sober run.
You were in a sober phase. I don't know why.
I still am. I stopped drink. I just don't drink anymore. I just don't like it.
Yeah. But anyways, the conversation I had with him, now I've only had arguments with him on Twitter, but the conversation I had with him at Speaker's Corner was so pathetic. I actually felt sorry for him, and I think if you go back and watch that video, you can see that I feel sorry for him, because it's so obvious, at least to me, that he's using Islam and him preaching Islam as a way to cover all his insecurities. It's really, really super obvious for me. And when I see someone like that, I have to pity them. I can't just be like, you're a fucking idiot. It immediately turns to, oh, so why did you choose to do this? Like, this just seems like a terrible idea. And he actually, in the middle of him talking to me, in the middle of that video, he actually apologizes because he was so busy screaming at you that he was attacking me. And he was like, I'm really sorry. I had a really heated debate before. It wasn't a debate. The jury's out. You won that. But like, he was like, I'm so sorry. And like, he apologizes. And the other thing is that Speaker's Corner, I was dressed way more provocatively than you.
I don't know why you black shaped. I wore a long sleeve top and a skirt which had a slit.
How you got attacked before I
want to jump in real quick.
Hang on, go ahead.
I want to jump in real quick.
By the way, you saw what somebody messaged, right? So you want to leave that there's a public service announcement in there too. From somebody, that ugly dude from Florida.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. And I will address that in a second. I just want to know, do you know the name of the video that he's got of you two, or videos? Like what they're called?
So there's two videos. I think one is called "Slaves Dressed to Impress."
He called her a slave.
I think I've seen that on Pornhub actually.
And the other one I think is "Girl Gets Put in Her Place" or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen that on Pornhub
something
too.
like that. Yeah.
Are you sure these are not Pornhub videos? Because I'm really confused here.
Yeah,
okay,
basically
the one. Girl insults Allah and gets put in. Okay, I've got both of them. I got both of them. Fantastic.
All right, so this.
Okay,
so
so
I'll read
last
this. I'll read
question.
this. Wait. So just FYI, Reg Rhetoric is safe. He made it to Cape Canaveral, Florida, for the rocket launch Falcon 9. So he made it safe.
And
go Reg.
Can I just say that I would love for any of you meme editors out there to meme edit the fuck out of both of those videos. I would love to see the memes that come out of those videos. He blurred out my chest. He blurred out my chest.
Chester's a memer. I like memers.
He blurred out this part of it.
He blurred out my chest.
It wasn't a different video. People were like, not dressed decently. This is me not dressed decently. I was again in long sleeves. It's cold out here.
Well, I mean, doesn't that go? Wait. Doesn't that go back in the 50s? You guys remember, like, I Dream of Jeannie? She wasn't able to even show her belly button because it was considered to be too taboo.
I don't know. I'm not that old.
Back when, if you look at the early things of I Dream of Jeannie, Barbara Eden, they made it so strategic that it was be over her belly button, and then later on they could show it more. But originally, that was actually designed to be so you couldn't see Barbara Eden's belly button because it was considered to be too sexy and racy for TV at the time.
Too out there.
Could you not? Yep. Okay.
Belly button.
It's in your stomach.
It's a belly. I don't even know what the function of the belly button is. Do you know what the function
we have we got a super chat, and it is we got a super chat that is Steve mentioned Pornhub thus has sexually harassed the guests and Chesh and Bool. What about Bool? And our last question comes from Messenger Reveals that says, what was their views of Christians while being Muslim, and did those views change after deconversion? That's a good question.
Well, Zara was fairly
I mean, I was raised to think that my parents never said that we're all going to go to hell. It's more like they still believe in God and they'll come to Islam at some point, but you can't be friends with them.
You came from fake Islam. Zara was a Shia before.
I came from the real Islam.
And she was also from quite a liberal family, right?
Yeah, I mean, my family and I are still quite tight.
Yeah,
like, we're like very cozy with each other.
You guys have quite a good relationship.
Yeah,
like, your dad is adorable.
It's annoying sometimes. He'll just call me in the middle of like me getting drunk, and I'm like,
it's like adorable and annoying. But yeah, Zara came from a liberal family. My family were fucking intense. So I like mentally, I was basically a fundamentalist, like an extremist. And we thought that everybody was going to burn in hell. Like even some Muslims, like the Shias,
you would consider yourself a nutter back then. You were a nutter what I consider to be a nutter fundamentalist, somebody who's so radicalized that all reality is just
not a fundamentalist. Like I used to say that it was okay to kill homosexuals, like things like that. Like I was one of those.
Yeah, like no, I didn't.
And now I see the arguments now, and I can't even say I don't understand where you're coming from. I fully understand where they're coming.
See, I didn't even know what homosexuality was. I didn't know you could know. And I was raised in a developing country. Like I wasn't allowed to draw because it was not allowed. Like Islam doesn't allow you to draw, or because also my school
were allowed to draw.
No, and even but I was also with a lot of Sunnis. It was an Islamic school with a lot of Sunnis, and then when they say it, you're like. You're Muslim, like at the age of like 7 or 8, you don't have the Shia Sunni thing. You're still Shia, but like you just are like, oh, Muslim scarf, God, everything. Just like understand. You want to go to heaven either way.
Very structured, very rigid. Yeah.
So I was raised in a developing country, and then I meet Faye, and then she told me her story, and I'm like, mate, my dad literally gave me money for my birthday. He's like, go take your friends out in a car, like, not a car, but like we have a driver. And it's like, take the driver, go take your friends out. Come back when you're ready. And it was like in the afternoon. So it's like, if you need more money, tell me. And like my dad was like, yeah, go.
Zara, a man proposed to me, gave me money. My brother stole it and spent it. I told my dad, and my dad said, you shouldn't have money.
I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, it's hard to
I was raised in the UK. You were raised in fucking Africa.
I was raised in
I don't understand how this happened.
My dad until now calls me. He's like, so what do you want for your birthday? You know what? I'm just gonna send you money, and then you just go buy whatever you want.
We didn't believe in birthdays. The first birthday I celebrated was at 21.
Oh, my dad didn't believe in birthdays until like the
speaking of money, because we got to pay the bills, but Puck's wish list is actually in the live chat. So if you guys want to like get Puck something, which is her dog, by the way, that's a cute thing that we do. Because it's a cute doggy, and you know what, doggies need stuff. But so the wish list is out there. I'm not talking about YouTube, but in the live chat there, the Puck wish list is there for Amazon, because people had asked about that, because they said, hey Steve, what's your Amazon wish list? I'm like, I don't even have one any longer. I don't need anything. Get the dog something. What the hell am I going to put on a wish list?
Wait, do you know
I should find him a doggy.
Cheshire draws as well. You were looking for an animator. Didn't think to
not
ask
anime.
me.
Not anime. You said you were busy.
Oh, no.
I need.
Oh, there we go. That's the discord between the two right there.
I'm looking for illustrators that can. You don't even have to go in that much detail with eyes and stuff. It's just like background, like 5 women standing behind the logo of Faithless Hijabi.
Wait, Faye, do you actually do anime? Faye, I know you do cartoon work. I think you work. Do you work in Krita?
Me?
Sorry?
Or Faye?
Do you work with Krita? I know you do pictures, but I mean, do you actually do animation?
No, I haven't done animation yet. I just do sketches, mostly like portraits and busts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're gonna start memeing now?
Yeah.
I really want to start memeing.
Okay, well, can you?
Everybody's like, I keep saying charcoal toothpaste. I'll check it out, but I've got 5 things of toothpaste. It's gonna take me a while to get through. Okay, but yeah, I'll try charcoal toothpaste. Yeah.
Stupid Horror Energy for 5 says.
I want to read this one.
You want to read that one?
Yeah, because it's from Sarah. Sarah said, "Super Hard Energy. Steve, make a wish list so I can buy you see-through stockings." And by the way, she's not even kidding. She really would actually buy them and actually require me to wear them. Not going to happen, but I appreciate it. I'm not going to use it for that. You don't want to see my
and
legs.
so
I got good legs. I got to admit, it's not bad. Yeah,
anything that if I get any like excess, so don't worry about if somebody may or may not have bought it, if it's like food or like, because I put a list of canned food on there and a list of like a bag of dog food, which is probably the more expensive stuff. But if I do end up with too much for Puck, it will be getting donated. So if you want to send stuff for like around Christmas for the shelters and stuff, anything that
do you have a PO box set up for that? How do you have that done?
No, I've got it.
Me for Christmas, right?
It got the shipping address. Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
I was gonna say.
You heard them.
I was gonna. Anybody want to adopt us? Adopt us. If you have a dog, I'll charge. I'll just play with your dog.
You
More
can
like
adopt them.
defend.
Hang on. You can adopt them so long as you don't have red shoes. If you have red shoes,
Oh no,
no
red
adoption.
shoes are fine in Christmas.
Oh, you allow for exceptions then. Okay.
I'll allow
By the way, I
for
got
Christmas.
see,
Yeah.
look at, I'm all in the season. I'm not a big Christmassy person because I've done 20 years of retail, and let me tell you, 20 years of retail will sour you on Christmas like you wouldn't believe. You hear the same damn songs. It's like repetitive too. It's like every 20 minutes. It's like there's like only like 15 goddamn Christmas songs out there, and you hear them played over and over. If I hear Mariah Carey one more time, I swear to God, I'm going to lose it.
Yeah, the Mariah Carey one is
teenagers.
Yeah.
Anything that gets
Christmas is the one time in the year that I control the fuck out of all of my kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, just go ahead.
So by the way, if anybody, Krita is fantastic. Faye, if you haven't tried Krita, it's a free.
I've downloaded Krita, but I have to figure it out.
It's a free version kind of Photoshop, but instead of being focused on photo manipulation, it's focused on canvas and actual creating work. So it has less photo manipulation tools, but has more like a way better brush system in creating your own brushes and adapting theirs. It's a free program. It's fantastic. I recommend it 100%. And what was the other one? Hey guys, go at them so maybe they'll sponsor us. XP pen, call me.
You really like that XP pen, don't you?
I love that XP pen. I would love for them to punch with me. I'd be so happy.
I've never seen this chest, but I got this. This is my writing. This is what I use for writing stuff. And then I don't know where my pen went. I have somewhere, but this is what I use, and it's not bad. It was donated to me through. It was like the last thing I got on my Amazon wish list. That's why I really don't need anything, but I use it every so often for when I do math stuff. So
yeah, like a whiteboard.
Yeah, like a whiteboard, exactly. All right. So, anyways, I think we're probably wrapping it up, and we're at the 2-hour mark. This is kind of like non sequitur light, I guess. This reminds me a lot of non sequitur. I appreciate it.
David,
and Zara,
wait 1 second.
Zara,
I just need to call out
forever to make happen. Because you're busy. You're a busy
Zara
woman.
I need to yell at David.
Zara needs to yell at David.
I need to yell at David.
Oh yeah.
I want to show you the middle finger, but that's not me.
That's against YouTube terms.
Yeah, that's against YouTube. So you suck, David. I also have to take a photo. Oh. So David came for my birthday, and he got me one of the best presents, which I haven't tried it on.
So you were calling him out.
Yeah, they were red shoes.
I'm mad at him.
David's controversial now. When Dave really is controversial, then you got something seriously wrong.
So something seriously wrong with David? What's wrong with David?
I don't know what's wrong with David. He's just like
not with David. It's something seriously wrong when he's the most controversial one. He's like the least controversial person on the planet.
He is the least controversial person ever.
Right?
So David got me a present. David got me a present for my birthday, which was a shirt with his merch.
He got his merch.
But it had my words on it. So it was something I said on his podcast, and then he printed it out and drew the animation, illustration. I still have to wear it, but fuck you, David. Also, David and I are gonna get married, so I can stay in this country.
And they're gonna adopt Faye as a kid. Yeah.
It's gonna be a already adopted family. Me. He literally invited me for Christmas present wrapping on Saturday.
So Faye came over on Saturday to wrap presents, and we all just took a nap.
Am I not the most efficient rapper?
You are actually.
I'm the most efficient rapper.
We wrapped really fast. Somebody was on sellotape duty. I was on ribbon duty, and then Faye was
nobody was on sellotape duty.
Yeah, okay, well I tried.
All right, let's wrap it up, guys.
Yeah, one last thing about rapping. I am the world's worst Christmas present rapper in the history of the seasons. I cannot.
I don't like rapping.
Oh my god!
I don't.
I would take newspaper and just put some just like this and tape it up and go, here you freaking go, man. I can't rap. Even in retail, they're like, Steve, just don't. They wouldn't let me rap anything in retail any longer. They just wouldn't let me do it.
Links
ahead,
will be in
Jess.
the
Let's wrap it up.
description to the Patreons. Links to Zara and Faye will be down there as well. I've got the links to the 2 videos of them speaking. Go and watch that. They're going to be hilarious. And go keep an eye out on Red's Rhetoric's channel, as there's going to be a rocket launch later on today, as well as Puck's wishlist will be down there as well.
And pay.
And
Have a good night,
please
everybody.
those Ali Dawah videos.
Oh, and
Guys,
Bull. And what about Bull? Bull stuff will be in the
What about Bull?
description.
Hashtag.
I was gonna say, pay special attention to the color of Red's shoes.
Oh. Go.
Wait, what?
Everybody go over to
I'm
Red's
confused.
channel and say you wearing red shoes. go
All
bug him
of
about
you,
it.
go to a store, you find red shoes, take a photo of you wearing them and
Send them to
Faye.
me. I'll make a compilation.
That's the equivalent
Yes.
of
I'll rate,
Yes.
I'll
There you
rate
go.
how unacceptable your red shoes are.
rate my. There you go. Rate my red shoes. There you go.
Rate my
red
red
shoes.
shoes.
There you go.
Hashtag. Rate is gonna sound a little.
Get it
too
turned
Anyway,
in.
have a good night, guys. We'll
Yeah.
see
Good night.
you guys
Thank you,
next
Zara,
time.
for finally making it. Faye, we'll see you again later
Yeah.
on, and we appreciate it. Good night, all.